they forecast another really hot day today, so I'm going to do some sun-dried tomatoes. I sprinkled the tray with a bit of salt and I'm chopping them in half across the centres, not downwards, so that it exposes more of the moisture. I've mixed up a little bit of garlic and herb mix. It had gone a bit solid in there, so I scraped it out and added a tiny bit of water. You don't have to have this. You could just add some salt, peppers and garlic, or just leave it as they are. I'll get on and cut the rest up and put a little bit of the sauce on the top. That's the tomatoes all ready to go outside in the sun. I used just the liquid in the end out of that sauce stuff that I mixed up, and then I sprinkled some garlic, some salt and some oregano leaves dried on the top. I should close the net over on the end and put them outside, and then move them to the greenhouse later on this afternoon when the sun comes round. I've got 4 pumpkins that are already ready to use, but I don't want to store them. Some of them have got damage on, so I'm going to make some pumpkin powder. So I'm going to skin them all, chop them up and cook them down in some water. This is the easiest way to prepare a pumpkin. Always start with a flat surface so that the pumpkin doesn't wobble around. And you can either use a straight edge knife or a straight cut knife, and just gently go around and take the skin off. You can tell when the pumpkins are ready to come off because they shrivel and come off naturally. I did just pull these ones off. This one I did cut off because he was a damaged one and I wanted to use him up at the same time as the others. There we go. Just cut it down through, and we'll gently take out the pips. I'll be drying these first lot to plant next year. Can use a spoon. Might be easier. You can use the pumpkin seeds for eating. You can roast them up in the oven, and a nice healthy snack. If I needed, I would, but they're not a big favourite of mine, so it's not something I will be doing. You can also roast them and pop them out. That'd be nicer, but I don't like the shells too much. But if food was scarce, obviously, then there'd be a valuable source of protein. So this first batch of seeds, I just collect them and wash them off and let them dry, and they'll be ready for next year. That's the pumpkin all chopped up. Water's just below the surface. Good, probably about half a teaspoon of salt I've sprinkled on the top. I shall put the lid on and let that cook down, stirring every so often. This is the pumpkin. It's ready. You can tell when you put the knife through, it just cuts through nice and easily. So I strained off the puree. It's cooled a little bit so I can handle it, and I've also got a bit of the liquid there that I retained. We're going to mash it down. I have got a stick blender, but I'm going to try and do it with the masher, so it's fair for everyone who's watching the video. While I was waiting for the pumpkin to cook, I did actually Google the uses of seeds and pumpkin flours and pumpkin protein and stuff like that. And it did actually say that you can use all of the pumpkin, including the rind, if it's quite fresh like ours was, and the seeds. You could just cook it all in together and blend it down so to make the powder. But I assume you would need a proper grinder. I do have a grinder on order, which I think is coming today. Just a hand one, a cheap one off of Amazon for about 35 quid. Because I'm doing quite a lot of flours and stuff at the moment. I thought it might be quite nice to have that. So I ordered myself one. So theoretically, you could separate all the pumpkin seeds, cook them up, and then grind them all down to make a protein powder. But back to what we're doing today, going to mash this down, add a little bit of water at a time just to get a consistency that will spread out on the trays easily. I actually didn't need to add any liquid at all. There was quite a lot and it's gone down to a nice puree. So I'm going to lay it out on the tray as flat as I can. I'm just going to use a few bits of some kitchen roll just to get some of the excess moisture. Off. then hopefully it won't take quite as long to dehydrate. I've put the pumpkin puree and the tomatoes inside a tree fruit net that I had. I'd bought a load, hadn't used this one, so I've got the trays in there. I've got just a support in the middle, which is my cake cooling cover. So it's absolutely boiling in the greenhouse, so this will probably be a couple of days out here. I would say it's sort of lunchtime now, so we'll come back and check it periodically. So I come out into the greenhouse to check how the tomatoes and the squash or the pumpkin is getting on. It's all looking good. The pumpkin is beginning to crack, as we can see. The tomatoes are definitely drying. I put a stat in here to see how hot it is, but the stat only goes up to about 50 degrees and it's off the chart, so I don't have a different one. I think this has got to be one of the most amazing smelling greenhouses I've ever been in. The sun-dried tomatoes, they're doing really well. They're almost ready. At this point, I probably could put them in the olive oil. There's a couple that are still a little tiny bit soft on the bottom. So I'm going to just move those around, loosen them up, and leave them in here for the rest of the day, and then put them in the olive oil tonight. So this is my sun-dried tomatoes. Really pleased with them. 2 full days in the greenhouse was more than enough. I'm going to put those in some oil. I'm going to use corn oil and not extra virgin oil. It's not only cheaper, but the corn oil is a more milder taste, so it will leave the taste of the tomatoes in there. I probably could, the tomatoes are dry enough, I probably could just put in a moisture and oxygen absorber, but I am going to put them in the oil. This is the pumpkin. I managed to get it off. It was a little bit tricky to get off. But again, it's a couple of days in there and it's crispy, so I'm going to grind that up. Now that it's ground up, I've decided just to put it back in a warm window for another day, just to make 100% sure that it is 100% dry before I put it in a jar. I will still add the moisture absorber and the oxygen absorber into the jar as well. Because they've given an absolutely scorching few days and I've still got lots of courgettes coming through, I've decided to try and dehydrate some in the greenhouse because I've got nothing in there because it's far too hot for anything. So I've got a couple of different methods. I've got that one with the dehydrator tray underneath, just lifted up a little bit. These have got 2 dehydrator trays or racks lifted up. And this one is straight on the tin in a net. These will be covered with a net to stop any flies or bugs getting in on them, and I'll see how they do. This is the 3 trays of courgettes that I've dehydrated in the greenhouse. It's taken a good couple of days. I'm going to put that in the blender and put it down to a powder. So this is the courgette powder I have dried in the greenhouse. It's slightly browner than what I did in the dehydrator, but it has got fine powder underneath. All in all, I'm really pleased that I've tried it in the greenhouse. I'm very pleased with both outcomes. Obviously this one has cost absolutely nothing for electric and is good for situations where you are grid down. But I've mixed the two flours together and put in an oxygen absorber and a couple of moisture absorbers, just to help with the long-term storage of it. You could vacuum pack it as well. That would really increase the shelf stableness of it.